Okay guys, we went ahead, I put this transmission together and then put this transfer case on. Decided we're going to try putting it all in all as one unit instead of trying to fight the transfer case separately. If you'll remember, we had our bell housing on here, but we discovered our bell housing when I purchased it online. It was a 2-bolt top. Ours is a single bolt top. So that's not going to work. I'm going to have to send that one back and then go ahead and order another one. I tried pulling our other one off our old transmission and we cannot get those bolts broken loose. Largely because it's that little Torx bit and I cannot get a bar that I don't think will break to get it to come out. It's, let's see where those mount. Right in here. They're pretty large bolts and they're only like a T45 or T50 Torx. So they're just insane. I don't know what crazy engineer decided he was going to put that on, but basically we can't get a anything on there that's thick enough to withstand the amount of torque I think it's going to take to break it loose. So we're kind of on a wait now. It's been a little while since I last filmed, probably about 4 or 5 days. But we pulled the thing in. We thought we were going to get it today, so we had the car all jacked up, all set up with enough room to slide it in. But yeah, we're just going to have to go ahead and order and wait on that. So we'll catch you guys in the next segment. Alright guys, we got the transmission in. We did it off camera. It took us probably a week since our last video on this series, so just kind of bear with us. I ordered the wrong bell housing, and I went ahead, got another bell housing that was actually the top bolt one for the V8s. So we got that, and I put everything in, and then this morning, me and Trey went ahead, put everything in, got it on the brace, got the new mount and everything. So it's all holding in there good. So the next step will be, I've got most of the plugs in, but I still got to hook up the shifter cable and all the rest of that stuff. So we'll go ahead, get all that clipped back in, and then we'll be ready to put in the torque converter. So now we're back. We've got the engine all together. We threw on the dipstick, and we had to wait like a week and a half since our last clip. We got our damper pulley here. Our other damper pulley was too far inset for this water pump and all the other accessories. So rather than try to fight and readjust all our accessories, including the water pump, we just went ahead, got this reconditioned damper pulley. I think it was around 75 bucks or so for recondition. It's got brand new rubber and whatnot in it. So we got this all together. We're getting ready. We're gonna set it in the engine bay. We're gonna have to move and lift up all our wiring harnesses, and then we're gonna get the transmission jack under the transmission to support it. Right now it's just bolted in, but I probably need to loosen those transmission mounts too once I get the jack under it, so that it'll have a little room to slide. Hello, cat. And then yeah, we got our motor mounts in. We're just gonna try to lift. The nice thing about Chevrolet and General Motors mounts is that they kind of catch after a little bit and then they just kind of slide on. So hopefully it all works. Transmission lines are here too. We're gonna throw in our torque converter. Unfortunately, I don't have any new torque converter bolts, but I figure we can get those later since this is more of an exposed design than say like an Allison transmission. So we'll go ahead. We'll get the torque converter into the transmission. We got our new 2800 stall converter. Get that in, and we'll get ready to lift the motor in. Okay, so we got our torque converter. We're gonna go ahead, throw about a quart of, we got some Valvoline ATF. This one's a Mercon, Dextron, and Dexberg replacement. So we're gonna go ahead, pour approximately a quart into this impeller because we don't want to dry start. It's gonna take a little bit for this when the transmission first fires up to build pressure. Just want to get those impellers in there all lubed up nicely. And that looks like they may have already added some fluid. From what I understand, I think these are already dyno tested. I think they've already dyno tested these. This one's just a single disc lockup. It's good for up to 450 horsepower. Since we're only planning on putting 400 engine, That ought to be like 320 of the wheels, I think, somewhere in there. There's like a 15 to 20% parasitic loss through the drivetrain. So 400 engine is what we're shooting for. So this torque converter ought to hold up nicely. And since this vehicle isn't really going to get raced or anything, then yeah, this torque converter was all we needed. So I'll go ahead and throw this cap on. I'm going to have my trusty assistant here, T-Ray. He's going to go crawl in here. I don't really fit very well, but he's going to crawl in here and we'll show you guys how to slide in torque converter. Okay, so now what he's going to do is he's going to slip that over the impeller. Just real carefully, we don't want to bind those teeth up. Lift it up a little on the snout. You'll need to get more elevation. There you go. So now it's supposed to be a little further in than that. I heard 2 clunks. We need to hear 3. Spin it slightly. Okay, there you go. That's how it's done. So there's like 3, sometimes even 4 clunks there before you're fully seated. What you want to do, like he did, start out sliding in, and then you'll want to tilt if you can. Get that nose on that impeller shaft up so that it'll clear and get into that gasket. You don't want to tear up that gasket or you'll get a transmission leak right there at the pump. So now we've got this in, we'll take our torque converter and just spin it until we've got one of our pads lined up near the starter. On the LS motors, we've got a big old plastic shield here. And so that shield isn't going on initially, so this will allow us to reach our pad. So we'll line up the motor to get pretty close. That way when we set everything in, we can reach it, and then we'll be able to turn the whole motor over. And if we can get one in, then the other 2 will line up. So we got that in. Now we're gonna get ready. We gotta push the motor into the, push the Suburban into the shop, and then get ready to lift the motor in. So we'll get it pushed in and get ready to drop the motor in. The cat battle, it's turned into a Mexican standoff. And now it's just turned into what's going to be a lazy siesta here in about a minute or 2. You're a couple of ridiculous little kitty cats. So one thing before you lower it in, I figured we might as well do this, get these sensors in. They're not tall enough that they'll get in the way of anything, since we have this as our basically highest point in the corner. So I just kind of made a checklist of all the sensors, and this one is kind of a hidden little sensor, a crankshaft position sensor. Oil sensor was already in. Got the dipstick in too, which I was kind of questioning whether I should do it, but I remembered what a pain it was on the Duramax we did to get the dipstick in once we dropped the motor in. So we'll just do that. Let's see. I think we'll be able to reach around our headers here to get to our engine mount bolts, so not too worried about that. We also went ahead and threw on our AC compressor, because I remember that being really, really tight up against the frame rail there, being able to reach any of these bolts. So we went ahead, torqued them all down, and yeah, we got them all hitched up. One thing I did notice on this AC compressor was they sent it to me with a gummed up connection there, which I'm not too happy about, but is what it is, I guess. Got our belt here and our tensioner all hitched up. So yeah, we're ready to drop it in. We got all our bolts and we got our torque converter in. What's going to be interesting though is spacing on this torque converter. Since this is not a stock one, we're going to want to space it. I'm going to need to check the manual, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere between an 1/8 and 3/16 of an inch of spacing. Otherwise you will burn up the pump in there. They cannot have any force pressing in on them. So we'll go ahead. We're going to call it for now. It's lunchtime, so we're going to go in for lunch and we'll come back out and get the motor in. Wow, guys, it really is starting to come together. Got the motor in. We got 2 of our bolts on the bell housing. I'm just going to go ahead, put the rest in. But yeah, we're all together. So we have left our plates off on the sides so that we can still reach our torque converter. This car is on a 2-inch drop, so I can't even slide under it. So we had to have a tray here slide under to tighten those 2. But what we'll do is I'll get the rest of these tightened from above, and then we'll be able to bring this all the way into our slab, jack it up, and then I'll be able to slide under and align our torque converter bolts. We're going to need to make a run to the Napa probably and go pick up some, and then we'll be able to space out our torque converter. But yeah, big progress here, being able to get this dropped in. We still got to lay out our lines and get our hoses and whatnot figured out, but it's all starting to come together. So we'll get back to tightening torque converter bolts, and we'll see you guys then. Okay, guys. Well, we ate lunch, came back out, and I was trying to figure out why we had about a 1/2-inch gap, and I got the feeling on the torque converter, and the torque converter was feeling pretty stiff, so I ended up lifting this motor back up again. Basically, we just pulled those bolts out, and since we already had our plate still on here and we hadn't mounted any of the side bolts, it lifted up pretty easily. But I had to get that torque converter set back in because I should have checked it, but I didn't think to. But when you set it in, you gotta like measure that it's 1 and I think it's 1 1/4 inches in from the bell housing is what the tabs should be. So we got that all the way set in, dropped this back in, and yeah, we're just getting the bell housing bolts put together. So yeah, just a little update there. Bell housing is coming together nicely, so I'm gonna go ahead, get this lift plate off, but first I'm gonna crawl under there and see if I can't get the torque converter aligned. We don't have any bolts for it, but I'm gonna see if I can try to get it aligned. Okay, so we got our torque converter in, and this guy's it's supposed to be between 1/8 and 1/3 of an inch. So right here, somewhere in the neighborhood of just over 1/8 is what I measured it at. So we're going to be good. We're not even going to need a spacer or a washer. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to need to make a run down to Napa and go get us some bolts. We also went up here. We've got our transmission dipstick tube is in. Yeah, the exhaust is still there. We're going to figure out how we're going to route these transmission lines because we're right up against the exhaust headers, and I don't want that for obvious reasons. So we're going to go ahead and get the motor mount bolts in. So now we got the torque converter bolts in, got almost all the mounting bolts in. We still got one there that we got to tighten down, and then on this other side we've got one of them that's not quite lining up. So what we're going to need to do is get a screwdriver, pry bar or something, be able to stick in that hole and then push the mount over. But it's all coming together. What I was going to show you guys, I got our wheels and tires back from the shop. I hope you guys like them. Definitely I liked them. Picked these up on eBay, wheels and tires off of eBay. I think we got away with the whole thing. I think wheels were $900 and tires were $600 for all 4. So yeah, they're 305 wide. They should look really good. They're basically 2019 through 2020 Suburban styling. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna pop off this wheel and then see how they fit. One thing I was a little worried about, they're like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch taller than these tires, so we're gonna need to check for rubbing since we are down, dropped the whole Suburban 2-inch drop kit. So I'm gonna go ahead, unload the rest of those tires off the back of the Ford, and we're gonna go ahead and put them on. So now that the wheel's off, just wanted to show you guys, last year we did all the brakes on this. I think what we're going to do is clean up and paint these calipers because they look pretty grimy. But these are brand new rotors. They're from Napa. I can't remember what the series was. They're black coated, but as you can see, the coating's already come off. We've got our nitro drop 2 Beltex instead of the drop springs there. They're a progressive coil. I was looking for, a lot of them were just basically standard coil where the spring is the same all the way till it bottoms out. This one gets harder the further down it goes. We also got brand new bushings in this thing. All suspension arm bushings are redone on this. So without any further ado, we're gonna get the tires on. Okay guys, got the tires on. Keep in mind, this paint color is not the final color. We have plans to get this vinyl wrapped. The paint, it's a lot cheaper than painting, and if we ever change our minds, it's really easy to change colors, but we're thinking about doing a vinyl wrap. So these wheels, can't remember what the name of the eBay seller is. I'll see if I can put a link in the description on these wheels, but these tires, they're what is it, brand Kumo? I think I'm saying it right. Basically, they're kind of an off-brand, but I saw a few good reviews on them, and I was willing to give them a try for only $600 for a set of 4. That seemed like a pretty good price. They're a 305 50/20. Basically, what we were looking for in this tire setup was something with similar offset. I think offset-wise, we're almost the same, with the tire mainly going in that way. But what that caused, we're actually rubbing on the plastic there, so we're gonna need to trim some in there. Also gonna need to check right up in here. We may have to trim. We'll jump up and down on it and see if we can load up the springs to see where we bottom out at. But I think with the 2-inch drop, we're already close to bottoming, so the tires may not need anything adjusted up there. But I just got them loosely torqued. Only 2 bolts are really torqued all the way down. But you can see, we see a lot more of our brake caliper and whatnot, so that's why we're going to want to get it painted. So yeah, just a quick rundown of that. What we wanted with these tires was much more stability, side-to-side stability. By having a smaller sidewall, we do lose a lot of its off-road capability, but since this vehicle really never goes off-road, then it's not really going to be as big of a deal as per se like a hunting rig or 4x4 rig. So yeah, nice tread pattern on it. It's supposed to clear out water really well. They're speed rated to, I think, 120 miles an hour. I think that's what 120V is. I don't know that it'll ever go that fast. I highly doubt it, but tires are speed rated up to that. They should last a long time. Also got good traction and temperature, so hopefully they last a really long time, and hopefully Mom likes them. So we'll go ahead and I'll pull those out and we'll get to trimming. Okay guys, we're gonna go ahead. Got our transmission cooler here. I already tore into it, so that's why it's torn up. We're gonna go ahead, pop it open, see what we have inside. So now that we've opened up the box, first thing we see, a set of hose. I don't see anything about the stretch, bend. I don't see anything about pressure, and I'm not sure that this is a high pressure hose. Let's set it down over here. You got our instruction manual. Definitely want to save that. And here we have our transmission cooler. So this has got everything. Does look a little boogered up, but I mean, it's not that bad. Doesn't tie directly anything in there. So all we've got to do is splice in our ends. Looks like they gave us some equipment in here to splice with. So we'll just splice in our ends and then tie this transmission cooler. Gotta check the manual because let's see the routing. Okay, cooler, transmission. Oh, okay, so this is, there's in-series installation or replacement installation. I'm thinking we're going to run replacement installation, bypass the radiator altogether. Since the radiator on this Suburban is fairly small, just a stock single fin radiator, then yeah, we're just going to go ahead and run with a replacement installation and bypass the radiator altogether. So there's that. And we've been over here. Trey's just getting the top plate. We got our knock sensors in. It's about as far as we've gotten there, just getting those torqued down. Got that, what is that, cam position sensor plugged in. Got another sensor plugged in, I can't remember what it is. I think it's a cam timings. No, I don't know. Anyway, on the back side of that, it's a ground strap that we got to tie in. And then we've still got, down here, we've still got our bolt we got to tighten all the way down. So we're going to get back to work on that, and we'll see you guys once we're done with that. Okay guys, I hope you can hear me. It started raining pretty heavily outside. But now we've got our intake manifold. It's our Summit sheet metal intake. I know this doesn't get as good a horsepower on the low end. Really, it's only a top end performer. But since this is a fairly mild build as far as LS goes, this is more aesthetic than anything. So I'll have Trey here lift it up and out. And this one came with the 92mm throttle body. Just a beautiful intake manifold here. Yeah. Tape all in it. Let's see. It's one downside to, oh, here's my knife. Alright.
Should probably take off my filthy glove for this.
Yeah, definitely want to do that. Look at the ports on this thing. Here, let me look inside. Oh yeah, just look at that. Oh, we got a whole bag of spare parts inside. What is this? Oh, these must be gaskets. Yeah, this is all gaskets. Nothing else. I think that's it. So yeah, look at this thing. It's just beautiful. Imagine this all polished up.
Oh yeah.
We could put like a almost see your face in it kind of polish. Yeah, TIG welded aluminum. Look at that weld. Gorgeous. Just beautiful.
Gorgeous weld.
Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get this throttle body on so that the engine is all closed up. We don't want any more dust exposure on this motor. So we're going to go ahead, I'll set down the camera and we'll get it in. So now we got our intake manifold on. We got our kitty cats constantly after us, but yeah, got it on. It looks great. Here, I'll pull the light so you guys can kind of see it. Really looks sweet. So we've still got a few vacuum lines to hitch up. I've got 2 of them under there that have a purpose, and the other 2 ports on the vacuum line, I'm not really sure what they're for. Ooh, easy, Joshua. So we'll probably end up blocking them off. One of them I'm almost certain is a boost gauge port, but since we're not going to be turbocharging this, then we don't need that. So that one I can almost guarantee just close that up and seal it off. So yeah, we got those 2 hitched up. We got our sensor. Gasket was not really curing very well on it, or not really fitting very well, so I went ahead and put some right stuff, Permatex. 90-minute gasket maker, put some of that on. That ought to seal that, so our mass airflow sensor will work. Waiting on that to cure, and then the next thing along, well, I guess we still got to get our bolt in there, but the next thing as far as fuel will go, will be getting the fuel injectors. We got to pick out our size, and I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere around a 33 pound/hour injector, maybe 36. Still haven't picked a brand yet. So I'm going to have, well, I'm going to go do some research, try to find some more information, and find out which injectors in the 30 to 36 pound/hour range are the most reliable, because this is going to be a car that hopefully will go another 200,000 miles. So we want those injectors to last at least another 100,000. Don't expect them to live forever, but we want them to work as well as they possibly can. And yeah, so that'll be that for probably for the rest of today. We're just going to go get back to work trying to get those bolts to fit. We're going to need some kind of a pry bar or something to get that one motor mount to lift just enough to get that bolt to thread. But that's pretty much it. So we're going to call it for today, guys, and we'll catch you guys in the morning.